Okay. Let's see here. All right. I'm trying to just double check here that I am going live on Instagram too. So if anyone is on Instagram right now, if you can let me know if you see me on there. Otherwise, I'm going to have to place my phone, and I think I might have to do that. Okay, give me 1 second, and then we'll start. So sorry about this. I was trying to do a okay. I was trying to do like a simulcast here. If you're on Instagram, can you tell me if I'm on live already on Instagram? Because otherwise I was going to do another live on my Instagram. So if you're on, otherwise tell me what platform you are watching from. You can comment in. Okay. I don't see myself live on Instagram. Let me just put myself on there real fast. And I will start. Okay. Okay, thank you, Amy. So I don't, okay. So I don't need to, I guess I don't need to put this on. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. It's like, okay, so this is totally new to me. All right. So thank you so much for joining. And then also thank you to those who are watching this on the replay. I already got a message from several people who are going to be watching this on the replay and who've also paid for the vibrational check-in. So that's going to be the second half of this. Okay. And, you know, I should be able to get comments from anyone because I do have some questions that I'm going to be asking as I go through the information on boundaries. And we're going to be going over an exercise as well. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in. Feel free to post comments, questions. I will try my best to read them as we're going through everything. Okay. All right, so awesome. So I don't know about you, but I have been finding some really great information on boundaries on social media. So really good things with like how to phrase setting your boundaries, how to say things without making it sound like it's a rejection to another person, which is, you know, which is obviously super important. But in my experience and in my observation, there are two things that seem to make it very difficult for people when it comes to placing and enforcing their boundaries. And the first one is not knowing if your boundary or when your boundary was even crossed until it's too late. So if you're like me, who did not grow up with boundaries at all, it's like, well, I don't even know what setting a boundary would feel like. You know, am I even doing it the right way? Like, I don't even know where to start. And so usually when you start learning about boundaries and why they're actually healthy for you, when people are trying to enforce it, it's like they're already dealing with the consequences. Like they're either already doing something they don't want to do, things are escalated into an argument, or they're feeling trapped or boxed in to something and feeling obligated and maybe even a little bit resentful. And then it's like, well, if I say anything now, that person is going to end up hating me or getting angry with me. So it's not even worth it. The second thing that I have observed and experienced is crossing your own boundary. So even if you say, this is something that I don't want to tolerate anymore in my reality, in my space, sometimes we end up overstepping that. And what happens is that the other person who we're trying to set boundaries with, or it could be more than one person, they won't believe you. Or if they're a very insistent individual, they're still going to press in on your energetic field. And we're going to talk about that here in a second, because your energy does not match what you were trying to say. And everything occurs in energy first. And so with either of these situations, what it is that you're setting a particular precedent. But the good news is that you can change it. And in order to change anything, you have to change your energy first. And that's particularly how I work with my clients. Everything is from an energetic perspective. So even if there are things that may surface, some old limiting beliefs, old emotions that come up, there's no judgment in any of it. And you'll see how I work, if you pay attention to the vibrational check-ins that I do later, that it's all just information and that can be changed. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do the quick version of connecting and grounding, just so that we can get to your energetic field, because there's two things that I want you to be really mindful of and become very familiar with. And the first thing is, how does your energy feel? What's your baseline? Because that's going to be different than anybody else. That's dependent on a lot of different factors, but you need to know what you feel like. The second is, what does your boundary look like, feel like, and what is it doing? Okay, so we're going to go through a visualization exercise. If you're new to doing anything like this, don't worry, you're not going to get it wrong. You can always rewatch this video later to kind of practice, which I would encourage you to do. So the first thing that I want you to do is go ahead and sit in your seat. Relax into your seat, relaxing your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw. If you need to kind of move your jaw around to relax it, that's fine. And then I want you to imagine like you're going way, way, way above the crown of your head. Go up about 300 feet if you need a measurement. And imagine like you're pulling down a stream of light. Remember, light carries information. Okay, so that's coming down, and that is, as it hits the top of your head, it's going to turn into liquid light. So almost like this light is going to fill the container of your body. So you are coming in through the crown, and it's filling up your head. So your face and the back of your head, to your throat, your shoulders, going down your arms into your fingertips, all the way down to your fingertips. And then you are having that light go down your upper chest, upper back, stomach area, mid back, down to your pelvis and low back. And that's going to come down then through your legs, so your upper legs, lower legs, all the way to the tips of your toes. That light is going down through the bottoms of your feet into the center of the earth. So see, sense, and feel when you can't go any further, that light's going to come back up through the bottoms of your feet, your ankles, through your legs, up through your hips, pelvis, stomach, stopping at the heart. Now at the heart, you're going to have that energy come out 360 degrees around you. And imagine like it comes out about arm's length. Okay, so from fingertip to fingertip, front, back, sides, below, and above you. And I want you to imagine, now that you're in the center of your field, if you just close your eyes and imagine you're scanning and seeing if there's anything within your field that doesn't belong to you. And that might look like a particular, like a color, a certain shape, maybe just kind of a blob or a mist, it doesn't matter. And if you see something that doesn't belong to you, I want you to imagine that with your intention, with your mind, you're pushing that out of your field. Just outside, and the edge of your field is your boundary. That's your energetic boundary. So imagine you're just moving it out until it is outside of your field. And I'll give you a moment to do that. And once you've done that, I want you to notice what that feels like. Okay, because in your field, generally, you should feel pretty content, pretty safe, pretty peaceful. And this is you. Okay, this is your baseline you. You shouldn't feel like there's something else in your particular space. So be familiar with this feeling. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to your boundary. The edge of your boundary, the edge of your field. Now, here I want you to see what is the material that your boundary is made of. Is it a bubble? Is it, I've heard a lot of different descriptions. Some people had steel. Some people had doors on there. Some people, it looked like, suds, in a bathtub. It could be anything. It could be concrete. I've had people say stone with spikes on it. So imagine that you can see what your boundary is made of. And if anyone wants to comment what their boundary looks like, that's fine too, and I'll give you a couple examples. The reason why we're looking at the boundary is this gives you information about your particular energy, how you view your own energy, and how you view those outside of you. Okay, so for example, if you have a boundary that looks like, that looks like it's made of steel with trap doors in it, right? That means you pretty much have like a very big wall up, and maybe you have to let permission for people to come into your space. If it's like concrete, like, Fort Knox, you might be feeling like you really need a lot of protection, or that maybe perhaps you might have this view that people on the outside might have, an agenda or trying to manipulate you or take something from you. So your boundary really says a lot about your viewpoint and the energy that you have. And so if in general, your energy is one that may be a little bit nervous or you carry a lot of fears, your boundary is going to reflect that. If you've been hurt a lot in the past, your boundary is going to reflect that. If you might be very, very open, okay, your boundary is going to reflect that. So you want to know, again, just to review, what your energy feels like and what your boundary looks like. So now I want you to see in your boundary, does it look like there's gaping holes in there? Does it look like there's more from your field going out than coming in, or vice versa? And you can comment on this too as well if you feel comfortable. Or does it look like there's an equal exchange from what's inside your field and what's outside? Okay, so this is also something that's important for you to know, because if there's more going out than coming in, then most likely you're depleting your energy. If there's more on the outside coming in than what's going out, you might be absorbing too much energy. Okay, does that make sense? So pay attention to this, because your boundary is what people first run into when they see you. So you know how like you might see someone, you go to the store, you might see someone and immediately you kind of go, oh, that person's not having a good day, or I don't like their energy, or I do like their energy. It's usually because that is the information you're picking up from their boundary as well as the energy that they're emitting. And it's the same thing with you. When people run into your boundary, they are perceiving certain information based upon what your boundary looks like that day. So now let's say, for example, that you have a boundary that is pretty, pretty walled off, right? You have a really, really big barrier. You have to also be careful with that. And it's understandable when I notice that in people, or when people tell that to me, because there's obviously a reason for it. But oftentimes it can also be suffocating. Okay, so you might want to check in with that too, if that happens to be you. And the other thing is, if you're very walled off on your boundary, it can hamper your own personal growth and development because you're not getting feedback or having an exchange of energy with other people. So let's say, for example, if there's anyone watching this, and let's say you need to change your boundary, and maybe you want to try something else on. So let's just try it out. So if you go back and close your eyes and pay attention to your boundary, and let's say you have something that's, pretty thick, pretty not, like just not letting a lot of other things in, and you want to change it. Change it now to something that resonates with you, and go ahead and just see how it changes the energy in your field. So let's say, for example, if you had concrete or steel, stones with spikes, and now you're changing that to something that's a little bit more like a bubble, okay? It doesn't have to be, but something else that feels better to you. Maybe it's water, okay? So go ahead and change that, and notice how it changes the energy on the inside, okay? And notice how that feels. And if you also have big gaping holes, go ahead and fill that in. You want your boundary ultimately to always be working efficiently and effectively, meaning that it's intact and you can allow for the filter to work, where you can allow also good things like your good energy to exit out, and also for other things to come in. You don't want to block off blessings. You don't want to block off other things that can actually help you and make you feel good. Okay, so just trying all of those on. What I would suggest with this is that you can also put an alarm on your phone. This is something that I did years ago. My first teacher, when she wanted me to always clear and ground and, and shield, she would have me put an alarm on my phone. So you can put an alarm on your phone and do the same thing, kind of check in with what's my energy feeling like. Is there anything I need to clear out of there? Okay, this is a shortcut version. And how does my boundary look? Okay, so these are things that you can practice. And with the energy techniques, that's really majority of the time what it takes is being aware that you need to do them and then practice. So the real world application to this, the reason why I'm even talking about this when it comes to boundaries, again, is because everything occurs in your energy first. So let's say someone, says, hey, I need you to do this. I need you, or they invite you somewhere. I have an emergency. I need you to be there. It's not that I'm saying don't help, don't extend yourself, in a way if you can. It's, you have to check yourself first before you just go ahead and say yes. Okay, because that's the thing. Especially, I work with a lot of empaths, and empaths tend to have this thing where they need to fix, they need to help, they they're the support people. Okay, but what I also see on the flip side of that is they end up being kind of resentful, or just really burnt out and depleted because they are overextending themselves. Okay, so the whole point of checking in with your field and your boundary is to ask yourself, do I have the energy reserves for this right now? And if I do this thing, or if I go to this place, oblige this person, will I be able to keep my boundary intact the entire time? Now, as you're practicing this, you're not going to do it perfectly every single time. You're going to get a little bit farther every time you do practice, though. So the whole point in the beginning is starting with your awareness. That's the whole reason for doing the visualization, because your field, your boundary is different than mine, than different than everyone else who's around you. So you're in control of that. The only thing you have control over is your field. Everything outside of that, you only have influence. Okay, so that's what you have to remember. And so that's why the boundary is super important, because your boundary will influence how other people treat you. And if your energy matches your boundary, then what you will find as you practice over time is that not only will they see that you are respecting your own boundary, but it's going to filter even into your physical boundary, where people will end up even respecting your physical space. It's really interesting how that happens. Okay, so any questions on this so far? You can go ahead and comment there. Or if you're watching this later on, you can message me. But I will get to the energy check-in. So give me 1 second. I'm going to start with, I'm actually going to go in order of when I got when I was messaged. So we're going to start with Tara. Okay, so she needed me to check in. She's been working on boundaries, which I actually could definitely feel that. So let's start here. So before we go into this, for everyone who isn't really familiar with how I work, let's run your energy first. My clients over time begin to learn how to do this. So let's run the energy, so that way when we do the vibrational check-ins, it's going to affect all the other chakras, okay? So go ahead and close your eyes again. And we're gonna get real ultra grounded first. So from the base of your spine, imagine your grounding cord going down into the center of the earth. See, sense, and feel when you reach there, that warmth, light, or higher vibration. Remember, your grounding cord is as big as a softball. And then bring your awareness to the bottoms of your feet, sending those roots down into the earth, spreading those out super far and wide, 200 to 300 miles, wrapping around the sides of the earth. Really good. Absorbing the earth's energy now, coming up through those roots, up through the bottoms of your feet, going up through the ankles. Good. Through the lower legs, upper legs, hips, meeting at the grounding cord and circling back down. And notice the circulation through the lower half of your body. And then we're going to check in with the warrior circle that's right at the root. So imagine, again, you're like an onion with the onion layers at the root chakra, which is at the perineal area. Go out to the 25th layer, please. So imagine that you just know where that is. You're going to pull that in to the center. And that's going to go right down the grounding cord. So this is representing all the different things that might keep you up at night, make you feel fearful, nervous, that have been kind of consuming a lot of mental energy right now. So bringing your awareness way above the crown of your head, reach through to the center of the universe. You know where that is. Pulling that universal energy down to your creative rings, recalibrating each of your creative rings to your highest and best interests. If you don't know how many creative rings you have, feel free to message me. And then that's going to come down through the crown, and we're just going to run the energy through the energy centers or chakras. So that's going down, then through your third eye, the back of your spine here at the throat, coming down the back of your heart, solar plexus, sacral, at the root, that universal and earth's energy mixing 50-50, coming up the front of the spine. So going past the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and rings. And like paint over balloon, it goes up and over the field. Okay, really good. And then it's coming down past your feet, attaching at the grounding cord below. Let's check in with the circle of reciprocity. So the upper chakra energies, we're going to take the energies of the heart, the throat, third eye, crown, and rings. That's all compressing, going through the right shoulder, going through the right arm. Good. And if you want fingertips together, so that is going from the right fingertips and palm over to the left side. And then it is going up the left arm. Really breathe through this, the left side. This is the receiving side, okay? And many of you need to be receiving more. So it's coming up. Left shoulder, dropping down into the chest, wrapping around the front and back of the heart, going up front and back of the throat, up front and back of the third eye, through the crown and rings, and up and over the field. Okay. Whew, all right. Feels good. So we're going to start with Tara. Like I mentioned before, she's been working on boundaries, okay, and which I can definitely feel. So you have a generational thing going on. So let's start with your start with the third eye. So I want you to go to your third eye. So Tara, when you watch this, and I want you to go out to the 15th layer, okay? And we're going to, as we pull this in to the very center of that energy center, I want you to also pull up the third layer with it as it's coming to the center. And then we're going to drop that down. And really notice how this feels in your body as we're doing this. The reason for this particular one is it's almost, the feeling that I got with this, it's almost like things need to look a certain way, but it almost too feels like it's being dictated by other people. Okay, so it, and two, you might also be looking at like what's flawed versus what's good, what's working, you know, what should be complemented. So there's an aspect of that too. So that's why we pull that in and drop that down. Go down to your heart and go out to the third layer. And we're going to pull this in because the feeling that I got with this is that sometimes, you know, if you are perceiving a reaction from someone, you might be automatically going, okay, what did I do wrong? You know, like the assumption is that there was something that you did, okay? This feels like past, present life too. So we're going to pull that in and then we're going to drop that down. Okay, and go down to the solar plexus, and third layer, we're going to pull that in. And this is a feeling of not being in control. This is the generational energy that I was talking about, where it's almost like, let's pull this in first, and let's have this continue to drop down the grounding. So it's almost like, when you feel out of control, it's almost like you're looking at others maybe for a sense of that. I would also kind of check in and see if you might be courting to other people in their root chakra, like the people you feel really safe to. But it's almost, the vision I almost got with this, it's almost like you're handing your GPS over to somebody else, right? And, you know, and that just will go against the own boundaries that you're trying to have in place for yourself. Going down to your sacral now, go out to the third layer, some like feminine, wounded feminine energy, because it's really only like at 15%. So we're going to pull that in and then we're going to recalibrate. So pulling that in and down. Okay. Because we want feminine energy to be at 100%, right? Because if it's wounded, then you are going to be looking for validation from other people. So real quickly, go back up to your heart, go out to the third layer and pull that in to the center and then drop that down. Good. Okay, that's better. Go down to your root chakra now. So at the perineal area, go out to the third layer. We're going to clear a number of fears. So, so those around people pleasing. Yeah. So let's pull that in. It's like people pleasing. There's an aspect of like humiliation too, like not wanting to be embarrassed, not being good enough, not being perfect enough. So pulling all of that in to the center. Also not being lovable, pull that in. And big energy here, drop that down. Okay. All right. So Tara, let me know how that feels if you have extra questions on that. But that generational energy thing is a big one. Okay. So next one is Grace. I know you're going to be watching this on the replay too. So with your particular situation, I want you to know that it's not like you got anything wrong. Okay. The part of you that decided to help this other person, that was really more like the empath part in you. And you are very aware. I know that you work on that really meticulously. So I know that you're really super conscious about your energy. The fact that though that you and this other person have energies that were totally like opposite of each other, what tends to happen is that the person who's really aware of how opposite the energies are can tend to put up then their guard, right? Because it's like, I'm not gonna let this in, I'm not gonna let this in, I'm not gonna let this in. So the thing is, if you're living in the same space and you have that guard up all the time, that is what ends up affecting you. That's what ends up kind of feeling like it's drained because your nervous system is on alert and you can't relax your energy in your home. So that's why you're feeling the way that you are. So I don't want you to kind of beat yourself up like you're really missing something. It's just, I think in this particular situation, there wasn't enough foresight to see long-term, like how it was going to affect you. Okay. And so it's just a matter of like, you say that you don't want this to happen again. It probably won't, to be honest. But let's go ahead and clear. Go to your third eye, please. Go to the third layer. So you're going to pull this in. And here we're going to get rid of the shoulds, right? So a good person should do this. I should do this. I should be helpful. So we're going to pull that in, drop that down. And go to your throat, third layer, and we're going to get rid of guilt in the throat center. Now, I don't know if you've had the conversation with this person about changing the arrangement, moving on, but let's just remove guilt anyway, right? So let's pull that in to the center and drop that down. And then to the heart, okay, third layer, disappointment in yourself. Pull that in and down. And solar plexus. So third layer, we're going to check in with that martyr energy. Okay, so that's at 90. Pull that in and down. We'll recheck. It's at the solar plexus. So it's a people pleasing. And it's really the people pleasing part, that martyr part here is actually because you don't want to see someone else suffering. You don't want to see someone else hurting, which, you can end up incorporating that into that people pleasing martyr part. So real quick, go back up to the heart, third layer, pull that in and down. Good. All right, going past the sacral over to the root, third layer. And so we're going to pull that in. So the fear of karma. Interesting. It's fear of karma, fear of not having enough support, fear. No, it's not fear of commitment. So fear of rejection, fear of not having enough support. So pull that in and down. Okay. So check in with me, Grace. Let me know how that feels, or if you have any other questions on that. The fear of karma is an interesting one. I think that's the first time that's come up. Okay, so don't be afraid that you're going to get like payback of some sort. All right, Amy, money and health. So the first thing that I actually felt like these are really tied together, like energetically. If things are, so I want you to notice, you don't have to comment on this right here, right now, but like if you've noticed if like money is really good, if your health is good at the same time, or if it seems to kind of feel like it's, things are kind of low, like how is your health at the same time? Notice if there's a proportional like relationship or inverse relationship. There's something about that. Okay, so let's go to your third eye and go out to the 25th layer. And as you're bringing this in, then take in the third layer too. Okay, there's just some like older, outdated mindsets, and I feel like some of them kind of sprang back up recently. So as we drop this down, really paying attention in your body, again, just as you're releasing, like how that feels. Because the one thing I actually wrote down for you is, even if your environment looks a certain way, it doesn't mean that you're powerless. Okay, so I want you to really take that to heart. Go down to the heart center, okay? Third layer. Fear of vulnerability. So we're gonna pull that in. And this is for both, because it's interesting. Our health and our money makes us feel vulnerable. Okay, so just pulling that in and down. At the heart center, go out to the third layer one more time, and we're going to clear shouldering burdens. Okay, so again, not saying that you can't help, you can't assist, but put it down when you're not addressing something. Okay, so pull in that third layer again at the heart center for burdens and down. Going down to the solar plexus, third layer. So we're going to clear the fear of being controlled by money. So pulling that in and down. Because the funny thing about fear is, if you're afraid of control of something or someone, that means it already is controlling you. Okay. And then the third layer again at the solar plexus. So feeling out of control. So pulling that in to the center and release. So, and then I wrote down something else here. It was really interesting. It's like it kind of came. So illness doesn't have to be a way to have certain parameters too. I don't know if that makes sense. If we need to talk about that later, then let me know. But like that's just what I ended up writing down. Illness doesn't have to be the parameters for which you kind of gauge if things are like in control or not. Okay. And then going down to the sacral, third layer, we're going to pull in anger at being held down. Being held down, feeling pushed down, feeling smaller. It's like, it's that kind of energy. So pulling that in and then release. And then at the root, third layer. So fear of not being safe, fear of not having enough, fear of success, fear of lack of support, fear of being alone. Pulling all of that in and down. Good. All right, so let me know how that feels. Or you can message me later if you want to, or you can comment here, completely up to you. And then we have Jennifer. So checking in on her business. So I gotta tell you, Jennifer, your energy around your business actually feels different than, was it last year or the year before? There's definitely growth here. So what I want you to actually do is create an avatar for your business. So the outline of a person with its own energy centers. You're going to ground that. Okay. So ground that, have it going down to the center of the earth. Make sure that the roots of the avatar, as they're going into the earth, that the feet are on the ground. And then pull in the worry circle of your business at the 15th layer. So we're going to pull that in and down. And okay, so now we're going to run that energy through. So whatever intentions you need to set for the business as far as the growth and the shifting. So recalibrating those, going down to the crown, and then to the third eye. Okay, so I want you to go out to the 15th layer at the third eye. And so first, let's just take care of that. Okay, I want to do this one by itself. 15th layer, pull that in, and then drop that down the grounding cord of the avatar. And then go out to the third layer here. And so a couple things. I want you to stop thinking of yourself as a small business. Okay, you're super qualified, and what you do is a lot better than most. Okay, I'm going to say that. And so I want you to kind of bring in a couple thoughts. So like you can't charge more. Okay. And I feel like there's also maybe like a comparison type of energy going on. And also I feel like there's something here about fitting into a mold, or like, I don't know if it's necessarily where you are, because I know that you're in a different country right now. So I want you to kind of think more outside of the box. So pull all of that in, okay, at the third eye, and then drop that down. Okay, because I want you to think more of like, how can I stand out more? Okay, because you can. You have to figure out, with all the different things that you do, because I know you do a number of different things, how can you set that apart from a lot of other people in your community? Okay, so think of that. You're outstanding. Say, I am outstanding. My business is outstanding. Go down to your throat, go out to the third layer. So we're going to pull in the fear of asking for like how much you want to charge. So pull that in and down. Because the thing is, you have a robust clientele is what I'm feeling. I mean, I don't, I've met you a couple times, but like that, it's like I can see that. Now, the thing is, it's like they will support you. Like if you wanted to charge more, people will support you because they already know the results they get from you. So don't be afraid to do that. Go down to your heart, third layer. We're going to pull in some self-judgment because that's affecting your level, like your feelings of worthiness too. So pull that in and down. But remember, because it's a business, and I understand this because it's like I've had to go through a lot of this also. As we kind of level up in our business, it's almost like we're attaching ourselves to the business because we're the ones who do it, but understand that it's not what you charge isn't necessarily like your worth. It's more of the transformation for your clients. Okay, so the solar plexus, go out to the 15th layer here and pull this in. And as you come in, then I want you to pick up the third layer too with this. And we're going to drop this down. So what I felt with this is, if there is any like control by others, control either by the community or something like that, your business doesn't have to be dictated to you. So if you wanted to branch off more on your own, you totally could. And then sacral is okay. Root chakra, got to the third layer. So we're going to clear the fear of success, fear of not having enough money, fear not enough support, also fear of failure, fear of kind of stepping out, so change. And so let's start with that. And then down. I almost feel like with your business, you might want to like refresh something. I don't know if it's, I don't know if I want to say brand or the look of it, but you might want to refresh something. I want you to check in with your circle of reciprocity too for the avatar, because I want you to breathe through more on this left side. So taking the upper chakra energies, rings, moving this through to the right side, and then fingertips together. And then really breathe through this entire left arm, kind of cleaning out the pipes here. Entire one, and then going down into the chest, wrapping around the front and back of the heart, up front and back of the throat, up front and back of the third eye, the avatar, through the crown and up and over the field. Okay, so let me know how that feels for you. And then okay, so then Christina. Okay, so what I will say here for you, I kind of did a general thing, just kind of checking in with the energies because I didn't get a message on anything specific. So the sixth, go to your sixth chakra, so the third eye, go out to the third layer. So this feels like there, is a number of like limiting beliefs about yourself. I kind of actually feel like you're noticing the trend going back in your family. Okay, so things is like not being good enough, a lot of comparison energy. So pulling that in from the third layer and dropping that down, noticing again how that really feels, in your body. And I also wrote down, I don't know if you had like a critical parent, a critical caregiver, someone in particular in your life was probably really, really critical with you. And so when we have a lot of these limiting beliefs, it drains a lot of energy. Okay, so when we're constantly like attacking ourselves mentally, it just depletes it. All right, so go down to, actually go out to the seventh layer at your third eye, Christina. Pull this in because it feels like you're not seeing yourself very clearly. Okay, so pulling that into the center and down. Okay. Go go down to the throat, go out to the third layer. We're going to clear some self-deprecating talk. So pulling that in and down. Good. Third layer one more time at the throat. We're going to clear the fear of stating your preferences, stating what you want, actually feeling like you can express yourself very freely. So pulling that in and down. Okay, good. And going down to the heart, go out to the third layer. There's guilt here, but it feels like it's not even yours. So pulling that into the center and down. Good. Really good. And then solar plexus, okay? So there's a couple other energies here as we go lower. So the solar plexus, go out to the third layer. There's martyr energy here up at 90%. So let's pull that in from the third layer to the center. So you're really self-sacrificing, you know, but, you know, not in the most healthy way. So pulling that in, dropping it down. And okay, so that's at 90%, 15, go up to the heart, please. Third layer, let's pull that in and then down. Okay, good, that's better. Good. So going down to the sacral, so the wounded feminine at the third layer, pull that in. That's like at 15%. So pulling that in and down. Again, go up to the heart, please. Third layer, pull that in, and we'll finish that off. Good. All right. And then at the root, go out to the third layer. Victim energy is high at 90%. Pull that in and down. Let's recheck. It's at 50. Go up to the solar plexus, please. Third layer. Pull that in. Because sometimes the victim energy too can prevent us from doing things that we need to do for ourselves, or prevent us from even the self-care that we need. So pulling that in and then down. Okay, good. All right. So at the root, go out to the third layer. Let's clear fear of not feeling safe, fear of not having money to survive, fear of not being loved, fear of death, fear of being alone, and fear of not pleasing others. So all of this big energy here and down. Okay. So let me know, Christina, later on how that was for you, if you have any questions on that. So thank you, everyone, for everyone who participated and who paid for the vibrational check-in. I will be doing lives every Wednesday. Next Wednesday is going to be at a different time, so I will post when that will be. If you want a vibrational check-in, and it could be about anything. It could be about a situation. It could be if you are a business person, you want to check in on the energy and clear around a certain product or service, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter what it is. I can clear something very specific around that. So if you want that, you know, the $15 still applies because I prepare for that beforehand and continue to check in as I'm doing it if there's anything else new with that. Okay. So, but I will let you know what the next topic is for the next live. Thank you so much for joining me here and watching on the replay. Like, share, subscribe. And if this video, you know, will help somebody else, feel free to share it. Okay, so check in with me. Let me know how your energetic boundaries are doing, and I will see you next time. Bye.